Gentlemen, start your engines!
All right, buddy. Nice long day. We're right here to support. Get the best we can. Get a good finish out of it.
Well, howdy there, everyone. I'm just now hopping on as I finished up watching the actual NASCAR truck race that Kyle Busch just won. And so, yeah, here we are tonight at Texas. We're joining it live in action as Al Bunch leads the way right now. Jacob Shangle up to second. Al Bunch had that pole position, so he's been on fire lately. I don't know if there's going to be any slowing down Mr. Bunch as he continues to rack up these accolades. So far, fastest lap belongs to Jacob Shangle there in second. So perhaps with a mild upset on the horizon here tonight, Al Bunch could have a contender in that number 64. Texas often, it is much better racing in NR2003 than the real track tends to lend us. And we've seen a great race in the trucks. We saw a great race last night in Bridge to Cup. And the neat little cherry on top here for the end of the week with our Sylvania Cup. Very few drivers have won on their birthday week. We've seen it happen where Liz Shangle has pulled off a win the week of her birthday. And that's really about all the data I've accumulated, because I haven't paid close enough attention to each driver winning and what their birthday is. So far, the only driver that we know of that has done that is Liz Shangle, winning on her birthday, actually. Today, just one day late to actually having it on his birthday. Jacob Shangle there running in second. Could have a good run here today. Hopefully looking to get a good finish his birthday week here. Al Bunch has been the most dominant driver in Sylvania Cup this season. He is accredited as the 2023 Sylvania Busch Light champion, so climbing that ladder, he's made his way to Cup, and he's proven that he belongs here. Tonight, driving the Culver's Jaguar XJ, leading from pole position here so far. 234 laps tonight. Should be a pleasant distance. We're not going to go too late into the night here. We're going to have kind of a semi-endurance, semi-sprint kind of race. Now, last night's Bridge to Cup race went caution-free, and I highly doubt that we'll see a caution-free race here tonight with the Cup guys, but they could always prove me wrong. The only thing that they've got in their favor tonight is a longer race, so more opportunities for a caution to come out. But so far, about 20 laps into this one and no cautions. It's been led all the way by Al Bunch here. Let's kind of skim through the back of the field. Gavin Legend dead last right now, holding up the tail end of the field. Fireball Roberts, Matthew Fastnot, Justin Day2. Man, BMW, they tried to put some money into this operation to get it going a little bit stronger, and yet still struggling to run in the front half of the field. Him and his teammate both, as you just skim a few spots ahead to Ant Meperson. Meperson has been dominant through the ladder system, but hasn't shown quite the success in Cup here yet. And after 10 races, we're going to have, start evaluating these drivers, as it'll be a quarter of the way through the season. We'll have analysis to figuring out who's going to stick around in Cup and who's going to be on the chopping block as next season, silly season, starts to kind of unfold here. Got to make room for those newcomers in Bridge to Cup, trucks, and now even ARCA, allowing for that linear progression up the ladder. ARCA needs a spot to fill in for a truck. Truck needs a spot to fill in for Bridge to Cup. And that means there could be some of these Cup drivers getting moved back to the BTC circuit. Zach Armstrong, that 90 there of Gavin Gray. Tyler Landa was your points leader at one point this season. And now that the real racing starts, it's starting to become relevant that the speed might not be there. The learning curve starts to kick in, as you see. Some of these rookies that had a hot start, the grind and actual slalom that is the full season starts to kick into overdrive here. A lot of our veterans, and there's a couple rookies there, 21st. But now, as you get into the top 20, let's see how many rookies we've got. Got one right there in Bella Fawn, top 20 runs so far. Nate Newman, who's been a hot contender in the early start of this season, following in the steps of Atlee Weiss, giving that number 20 a great start of season. The winningest driver in Sylvania Cup history, Tyler Shangle, right there in 14th. Tristan Reams in front of him. Andre Stefan, 11th. And you got Cam Jordan sitting in the top 10. Chaz Chadwick running 9th. Lynn Farrell, good run for him here so far. Ewan What Army had been up at the front and is kind of slowly falling backwards here, back to 7th. Atlee Weiss, your defending champ, running in the top 5, right behind Kellen Relic. Then John Roman, Jacob Shangle still running Al Bunch down, as it looks like Al Bunch starting to grow that gap by a little bit. So we're in for a long one here tonight, folks. Cup Series always has the lengthier races. Grab some popcorn, maybe a drink. Make sure you drink some water. And maybe the Cup Series might start to turn into one of those deals like, when people tune in just to try and see if one guy will lose. A lot of the reasons why everyone tunes into a Jake Paul fight is hoping to see him get knocked out by the competitor. It seems like we might have that case going on here in the Sylvania Cup Series, where people might just start tuning in or tuning out, you never know, hoping to see Al Bunch get knocked out. Let's just put into perspective here, though, the sheer strength from Al Bunch here this season. No driver in history has ever started off this strong in the Sylvania Cup Series. If we look at Al Bunch and his first 7 starts right now, he has an average qualifying position of first, which is absurd because he's had, now after tonight, 5 pole positions, and he hasn't qualified any worse than second. So he's had a second, 3 poles, second, pole, second, another pole position here tonight. He's had 2 wins on the season so far. He kind of had one taken away from him at Dover last week when he got wrecked out of the lead. He's led a lap in every race this season. He's tried to capitalize on getting max points every week that he runs up front. And with the few bad races that he's had, he's managed to secure an average finish of 9th early in the running here. Let's put, second place to him is Chaz Chadwick in the points. And Chaz actually has an average finish of 9th as well. So goes to show you that the average finish does mean a lot here, getting you closer to that overall first place in the point standing. But Chadwick has an average qualifying position of 11th. Tyler Landa, who's 3rd in the points right now, his average finish is 11th. Tonight, not looking to be one of his hotter races as he's learning the ropes here at Texas tonight, running outside the top 30. Lap traffic even becoming a factor already, as you saw he got by the 89 of Gavin Legend. Atlee Weiss has had a very impressive bounce back to championship defense title here tonight. Well, this season, rather, not tonight, but he's had the roughest of rough, starting at his second race at Daytona, finishing 46th overall when we had a 46 car field for the first time in Sylvania Cup history. He was unable to finish even one lap. He blew up under the pace lap at Daytona and then bounces back the next week to get a win at North Wilkesboro. His road course races haven't been the best. He then hit a top 5 at Atlanta and came back to win last week at Dover and sits currently 6th in the points. And with him running in the top 5 here tonight, he's going to be hoping that he can keep going up the point standings with more good finishes, like possibly last week at Dover and here tonight at Yeah, at this point it looks like the Jaguars are coming alive as Kellen Relic has now closed the gap on the 64 of Jacob Shangle, and now the 64 in defense mode trying to hold the 87 behind him, but I fear the Jaguars are going to be a force to be reckoned with again here tonight. Al Bunch sporting that brand new paint scheme. This is the first race that Culver's has come on to sponsor this car here in the Sylvania Cup Series. And Al Bunch hoping to give them a good run here tonight. He's already put Penske Truck Rentals in victory lane twice this season. The impressive part is the fact that Jacob Schenkel still has the fastest lap here so far. Obviously, the longer the run goes, the tires start to wear down. But Al Bunch definitely has the faster long run setup here, as his tires may not be falling off near as quickly as his competitors behind him. Running 28.587. Kellen Relic just turned a 28.553. So everyone right now running very comparable and very similar times. Wow. BMW running 39th and 40th. They're going to need to go back to the drawing board on getting these cars running a little bit cleaner. One thing that truly stands out here with our Cup Series in comparison to the rest of the racing that we've had this week is the fact that we are now 50 laps into this and there's still 40 cars on the lead lap. So we've only had 2 drivers go a lap down in a 50-lap run. If you look at our truck race, which at this point would be about 1/3 of the way through, there was a bunch of trucks laps down. So truly the best of the best here in Sylvania Cup racing action, and it shows when you've got less guys going laps down and more of them running. I mean, even your 40th place driver is pretty damn fast. We can look at lap times. Justin Day 2's 29.1 to 28.7 with the tire degradation on Al Bunch. I mean, with some fresh tires, Justin Day 2 could be matching the pace of Al Bunch, and possibly some setup changes too, since those cars seem to be missing it by a little bit here today. But means that we've got really some of the fastest drivers in the Sigmaverse racing here tonight. Did not expect to see Tyler Landa have such a rough start in this one, who was early on points leader, sits 3rd in the points right now. He could take another huge hit in the points if he doesn't have a resurgence towards the end of this one. Still keeping his nose clean and staying out of trouble. He could find his way back through the field in that number 7 Toyota. John Brinker, rookie to the series. Might not be in the best case scenario driving for Mercedes, who hasn't had the best of track record here in Sylvania Cup, but working with the car that he's got, he's still putting together a decent run, mid-pack at least. Chris Harvey kind of in his own zip code right now, not having to deal with any traffic, just putting down clean laps here, learning the track, letting the track come to him. And you got Dalton Scott there in the 50, as this was kind of a thrown together last minute deal for him this season. I don't know if he really had any testing or track time in an Audi before 2024 rolled around, but he is your 2010 champion and just going to try to do what he can this season to give that 50 some good airtime. Might very well be Dalton Scott's last season of racing. He was already semi-retired before he got the phone call to come race in this number 50 after the fallout of the Courting brothers. And that 50 was synonymous with success. Dalton Scott decided, yeah, sure, why not? I've seen that number 50 in victory lane many times within the trucks and other steps of the ladder with our racing. And he's like, I'll give it a shot. I'll try to learn on the go and get this car better by the end of the season. Kara Shangle there running 17th, the switch over to Toyota. And there's already rumblings that she might switch over to Honda next season. So they're potentially, the Shangle Toyota Racing could become Shangle Honda Racing, or abbreviated as SHR, a lot like Stuart Haas Racing. Toyota definitely has a lot of competitive drivers out there. There's still a chance that they could keep Shangle Toyota as Toyota, but we'll see what happens. The LFG Motorsports teammates running 6th and 7th right now, as What Army and Chadwick are nose to tail. Both of them have their target set on the bad man, Atlee Weiss. Kellen Relic has got by, but hasn't really gotten away from Jacob Schenkel, as these two still running pretty close together. But it's a whole different story when you've got Al Bunch starting to catch up to lap traffic here and make a lot of moves. This could end up slowing Al Bunch's pace down. We've seen mistakes happen when he gets up to lap traffic. He ultimately lost a race last week when lap traffic got in his way to take him out of the running. So perhaps this might very well be Al Bunch's Achilles heel when it comes to leading as many laps as he does, making it through lap traffic somewhat of a kryptonite. Making relatively quick work and putting a big gap between him and his team owner, Kellen Relic. There's probably at least 8 cars now separating them. And Kellen's going to have to figure out the same method here to work his way through the traffic. If you're just now tuning in, you haven't missed a whole lot. Al Bunch has led every lap so far. Jacob Schenkel with the fastest lap, and we're likely to start seeing green flag pit stops here soon as Al Bunch has caught up to lap traffic and is working his way, slicing and dicing through it. Green flag pit stops could be interesting here. We might see some change-ups. We might see some comers and goers. Yeah, there we go. Al Bunch, the first one to pit. It's best to pit early here is what it seems like, as we've seen in the other 2 races here this weekend. Kellen Relic stays out and going to lead the lap. So goes from the 81 to the 87. Al Bunch making his pit stop here. We'll go ahead and watch the pit stop here and see just how Al Bunch does coming through pit stop. 2 tires, 4 tires going on. Pretty quick pit stop for the 81 there, as he's going to rejoin the track. Going to keep our eyes on the lights, the edge of the track, make sure there's no cautions. Now we're going to see a whole flock of cars coming down pit road here. Kellen Relic, Jacob Schenkel already out of their pit stalls, finished with their pit stop here. You can see Al Bunch just in the peripheral, driving by, blowing by. And there you have it. Al Bunch eventually is going to shuffle back around to being your leader, although trapped down in 40th place from being the first one down pit road. This is a little bit of a danger zone here. You don't want to get trapped a lap down, especially as early as Al Bunch pitted there. If we get a caution here, it could spoil things a little bit. But we have not seen a caution in the past 24 hours at this track. Bridge to Cup went caution-free last night. You can see the difference in tires there as Al Bunch blows by some of the lap traffic. Still not shuffled around back to the lead here, as there's quite a few drivers pushing it late here on pit strategy, trying to go as late as they can. Currently, the ones playing the long game here is the 53 of John Roman and the 38 of Monty Shangle. I'm assuming they are finally leaving pit road here. Monty Shangle is, but I don't think it's going to keep him in the front position, but we'll see. Yeah, he's going to take a dive in the standings there after pitting so late as he did. No caution has been the call here. Looks like Al Bunch should be shuffled back to being your leader. Yep, right there. 27.445. He just turned one of the faster laps in the race with the fresh tires. Still not faster than Jacob Shangle, as the difference is a 4.39 to a 4.45 between those two drivers. Nope, and forget about it. Al Bunch just knocked out his fastest lap of the race, a 27.343. This car is just going to get better and better, it seems, as the race goes on here tonight. Looking more and more like a Jaguar knockout on the horizon. Lap traffic giving Al Bunch a little bit of problems here as Kellen Relic starts to close the gap ever so slightly. Al Bunch fighting with Tristan Reams here for what would be put in 24th place, a lap down. So pit stops, huge factor here as more drivers losing speed, losing ground to the leader. Deficit's now down to 4.21. And lap traffic's going to be a factor all night long here, especially if the race goes caution-free. And longer the race goes caution-free, the more strung out things are going to be. More opportunities for the likes of Kellen Relic and Jacob Shangle to really close that gap on Al Bunch. As it is kind of a catch-20 because Kellen Relic and Shangle, they've got to make their way through the traffic as well. It's not going to be no cakewalk to catch up to Al Bunch. But at this point, it's Al Bunch's race to lose based on how strong he's looking here tonight. He's found ways to lose them before. So the deficit staying relative, not doing a whole lot of changing here. Keeping up that one ticker so you can see the deficit currently at 4.77. Jacob Shangle actually losing more ground as he's down to 6 seconds back. 90 laps in, 144 laps to go. This looking more like another dominant performance by Al Bunch. Pole position and has led majority of the race so far. But we do know for a fact Al Bunch's team owner Kellen Relic, he could totally still show up and find a way to fight for the win here tonight. And just like that, lap traffic giving him fits here again. He's having to work his way around some of the slower traffic, and Kellen Relic has now knocked another couple tenths off of the lead, down to 4.44 seconds. See this time whether or not Kellen knocks off some more time. 2 tenths. So 4.2 seconds is now the gap. If I was Al Bunch's crew chief, I would be worried that he's getting himself put into precarious positions here. You don't want to be racing with lap traffic when they're racing each other like that, because you could get, you could get tipped or nicked and spun out from the lead. There we go. Even more drama here for Al Bunch as he's about to get passed by Monty Shangle. Monty goes low there, pushing Al Bunch high. Deficit now 4.25 seconds. Kellen Relic. Well, pardon the minor lag spike there. Seems like if I mention lag spike, it hits. 3.93, so that lead shrinking a little bit more here. .52 now the deficit, so we could have a race starting to break out here. We'll have to go back and see where Kellen Relic is gaining all this time. Currently he's stuck in traffic and just lost 1 full second to the lead, so the ebb and flow, this is just standard ebb and flow of the racing here in the Sigmaverse. .134 laps remaining here tonight at Texas. We are closing up pretty closely here to halfway. Kellen Relic really having to fight hard here and losing a lot of ground. Lap traffic is not his friend here. Jacob Schenkel slowly eking his way back into the picture for that fight for second. He's been on somewhat of a decent stretch here in the 64 car. Look at his last couple races. He's had a top 10, had a 28th at Dover, so not spectacular. So still trying to figure out, well, he was running well at Dover and got wrecked out. Dover was one of those races where so many drivers had a great shot at having a good finish. That's where I had made the mistake of assuming 64 had a good finish last week, but they didn't because he got tangled up in a wreck not of his doing. But Jacob Schenkel hopefully looking to improve upon each race here throughout the rest of the season. 3 wide, 4 position there, putting Kellen Relic back behind him. So back up to second here, that 64. And 8 seconds out of the lead from Al Bunch, who is just cruising out front. These are definitely some of the fastest laps we've seen here this weekend. Averaging around 188 miles an hour around Texas is no joke. Getting up to 193 at the peak of the lap before dropping back down to 176 in the turn. So our truck race ended up finishing right under the 2-hour mark. This race could still end right under the 2-hour mark with the Sylvania Cup guys because they're running such faster laps than our underling classes were. Lap traffic truly is the main story here tonight, as no cautions. Every lap has been run under green flag conditions here. But this too should almost provoke potential cautions from occurring when you've got lap traffic that's holding up the faster cars behind them. Hopefully it's not including one of our top contenders racing for the win here tonight. Oofty, Jacob has dropped backwards here in a jiffy as he's now settled into 7th place, getting overhauled by the likes of Atlee Weiss, Tyler Aspinall, Ewan Wood Army, Chaz Chadwick now sitting on a podium position. It's Kellen Relic with a little bit of clear track in front of him. Still losing ground to Al Bunch. At this point, the rest of the field simply hoping for a caution to help bring this race back together a little bit. As this race progresses closer and closer to halfway. Actually, right there on the dot at halfway now. We've only got 14 cars on the lead lap. Al Bunch is blazing around the track here tonight. 117 laps down, 117 laps to go. Almost going to need a caution just for some people to get wave arounds. Lucky dog. Holy cow. No retirements. Everyone's still running in the race here tonight. But yeah, Al Bunch, as we just get past the halfway point at 58 minutes, the average speed sitting at 188 miles an hour tonight. That's a pretty quick race pace for Texas. So I must say too, Kellen Relic has had kind of his shares of ups and downs in the season. He, just like Al Bunch, also has 2 wins, so they both share a pair of wins apiece. And Kellen Relic has not started any worse than 5th this season. His 1 pole position turned into a win, so max points there. His other win, he started in 5th at Brands Hatch and came through the field 4 spots to win it all. He had a bad race at Dover, one of the many that got tied up in a wreck. But 2 wins and 2 second place finishes for Kellen Relic. That keeps him in the top 5 in points, especially with a run here like this tonight. He's going to jump up possibly to 3rd. But Al Bunch continuing, he's going to keep growing that lead little by little. Really crazy dominant race here from Al Bunch. And it has gone up the flagpole. There was some people that were exclaiming that these Jaguars are cheating, having too much performance on track each week, but there was no investigation put into to actually figuring out validity behind that statement. So Jaguars continued on under the radar, as some might assume. It's crazy how strong these Jaguars have been. Relatively unknowns in the last couple seasons to unbeatable this year. The gap to the leader is astonishingly stretched out right now, as it's a 12.2 second lead that Al Bunch has over Kellen Relic. We're watching Kellen Relic here right now. Let's go ahead and skip forward to see just where Al Bunch is in relation. Should be half the track around. Yep, right there. He's entering the backstretch as Kellen Relic is entering turn 1. So Chadwick sort of flirting with taking a position away from Kellen here. That Honda's got a good alternate line going. Looks like he's gonna have an opportunity to make the pass work here on the 87. It is impressive seeing those drivers run two completely different lines. The 18 looks faster in segments of the track, but the 87 continues to hold the position. Man, we're blazing through this race tonight. No cautions, record pace. We're setting laps down at a rampant rage here. 188 miles is the race pace so far. 188 miles per hour. So we're running a 351 mile race with 188 miles an hour. That's going to put this race pretty much under the 2-hour mark at the distance. Here we go, Chadwick. Looks low. Doesn't get to execute. They're both going to get by the lap traffic here. The 7 car of Tyler Landa. Atlee Weiss a little bit further in the background there. The battle really does start to turn into who's going to finish second here tonight. Next round of green flag pit stops upon the horizon, as we should be seeing takers by about lap 140. And with every green flag pit stop is another opportunity to potentially see a caution. Chadwick takes second away from Kellen, going through turns 3 and 4 here. So new second place contender we haven't seen run up here yet. Evidently that 18's got something figured out on the long run here, as everyone else's tires are starting to cost them time. Chadwick's picking up pieces where everyone else is leaving it behind. Now, one thing that does start to get a little bit interesting is the drivers that waited as long as they did to make their first round of pit stops. I think some of them even stretched it as far as lap 80. Monty Shangle, John Roman were two of them that really stretched that pit stop range. And looking at the lap distance here tonight, if the drivers can make it 80 laps, Monty and John Roman could potentially make it with one less stop than the rest of the field. So let me at least resort back here and figure out when the 38 last pitted to give us a perspective on how long he can stretch it here. Because if he was on pit road at lap 80, there could be some validity to stretching it. And it looks like maybe not even close to 80. So 73. If he can pull off 73 each run, he's still only going to make to lap 219. So there's no way that that'll pan out the way I was thinking it would. Regardless, 38 should have fresher tires here, and that should factor in towards the end of a run like this where he could shuffle forward a little bit more. You never know, a caution could fall out during green flag pit stops, and since he's on that longer strategy, he could be the one on the lead lap trapping other people laps down. Al Bunch not messing around. He's going as early as he can on each pit stop. Doesn't seem to slow him down one bit. It does, like I've said before, puts him in the danger zone just a tad, since he's going to be going laps down while the other people stay out. So we'll keep our eyes on how this unfolds here. Everything's just about shuffled back around here as Tyler Aspinall still sticking around out front. John Roman now takes the lead here, but not for long, as he'll likely be pitting in a couple laps' time. Yeah, there you got the 38 Amani pitting. Al Bunch, just another lap or two, and he'll be back to the point. And John Roman still hanging on solid here. He's pushing it a perfect 73 laps on both runs. That could stretch it out to lap 219 where he makes his last stop. And if he does that, he could stretch it to 219 and just come down for quick gas and go. I don't know if that's within the strategy call exactly, but it could keep things interesting. But the big downside to all of that is staying out as long as he does, he's actually going to get trapped a lap down here, fighting in 11th place. So might have had the perk of leading a lap or two, but ultimately the downside of going a lap down here. He's going to have fresher tires, and in all, by all means, should be able to be faster than Al Bunch, but I don't know if anyone's going to be faster than Al Bunch even on fresher tires. Al's by far led most laps here tonight already with pole position. All he's got left to do is try to bring it home for the win. Woofty, Al Bunch really in a traffic jam here, as a lot of slow traffic holding him up. Could potentially be one of the harder tasks here that he's had to deal with tonight. But he's cruised through the slower traffic on the low side and should be clear to go. Thank you for those of you on the East Coast. If you're still up watching this, it's midnight over there already. Don't have too much longer to go. 80 laps remaining here at Texas. And, man, we should be done right at about 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. 1 o'clock Eastern. There will be one more round of pit stops regardless of if caution comes out. These guys can't make to the finish without getting one more load of fresh fuel. 13 seconds now the gap as Al Bunch leads over his teammate. This is just astonishing because even his teammate doesn't have anything for him. We've simply been witness to one of the strongest runs by any single driver in Sylvania Cup history. It was bound to happen eventually. We've had so much parity in this series that we've never had a standout dominance from someone before. And we can mark that off the bingo board as your Sylvania Busch Light 2023 champion. Got all the right puzzle pieces put together, getting into this 81 Jaguar. What's crazy is his rookie season was very lackluster. You look back to his first ever full season of Sylvania Cup action. Al Bunch could barely even finish the races at most times, finishing 38th in the points, 0 wins, 2 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. Paired that all up with 14 DNFs and only 1 pole in the LFG Motorsports number 81 Dodge, where he contested 35 races on a part-time basis last year in his first ever rookie campaign of Sylvania Cup action. And truly a sophomore swing, sophomore blow up from that 81. Change of manufacturer, change of team. He kind of came home to race for Kellen Relic Racing, a Washington native himself. And you know, the rest is all history at this point. That 81 already starting to put his name in the hat for contender as a championship. With tonight at Texas being our 8th race out of the 40 race schedule, he could potentially have 3 of the first 8 races as a win in his pocket. And we've already seen in the Trucks West, one driver's won 3 out of the first 5 races. So this year dominance has been like a plague here in Sigma Racing, as we've seen dominance on the USA West Trucks division here in Sylvania Cup. We have seen a lot more parity when it comes to the ARCA series, and even the Trucks East has been filled with parity. But look to last night, Bridge to Cup dominated by Dave Steele Jr. so far. So half of our series pretty much, you know there's a guy that's going to take to the field and be the favorite to win it each night. And they're 3 brand new drivers in all respects to their current series that they run for. Trevor Vaden, it's his first season in the Trucks West. And with his 3 wins on the season, that has been unheard of in his recent races prior to last year. So Trevor Vaden kind of coming out of nowhere. Dave Steele Jr. hadn't shown any success in trucks, and all of a sudden all the pieces started clicking together, and he looks lights out in Bridge to Cup action. And then Al Bunch, just a bunch of names that no one knows about until they start making a name for themselves. One thing I do like on Al Bunch's car is the fact that it does pay homage to his championship, as you can see on the back bumper here. 2023 Sylvania Busch Light Champ. And then even a little sticker on the window, above the window, crediting him with his Sylvania Busch Light Championship. Obviously, the series is going to change name to the Sigma Cup Series starting in 2025. But he will always be a Sylvania Busch Light champ through and through, even though the names are changing. And quite honestly, that blue and white car, it's kind of nice to have an alternate paint scheme, different than the Penske Truck Reynolds car that he's been running. Think about it like this is his alternate night scheme that he's been able to pull out here under the lights. Oh, and we've got the very first caution of the night here at Texas. Should have figured that there was no way we could get this whole race in without at least one caution. Ooh, and it looks like it might have been a rough one for a couple drivers. Ooh, more than a couple drivers. There's about 4 cars parked on pit road right now. Brief pause here for station recording. This could change everything tonight. We could have a total different outcome now because of this. I'm going to try to do my best to give wave rounds to as many people as possible. Oh, Atlee Weiss coming down pit road. I don't know if he got tangled up in the wreck or not. So involved in the wreck, looks like 00 of Jack Ross already wrecked out here. Pretty nasty wreck. So the 28 of Alan Taylor drives it in deep, clipping the 00 of Jack Ross. Jack Ross sliding back down onto the racing surface, collects the 89 and the 87 of Kellen Relic. Some big names involved in this one. You see Atlee Weiss, I think, gathering part of the... Wow, the carnage continues down the backstretch here. We're going to have to do analysis of this in a minute. I have to give some wave rounds to the people that are laps down. We've got a lot to... a lot to delve into with that wreck. Actually, here, this is what I'll do. I'll go ahead and pause so that we can actually do the wave rounds and everything. We need to do this wreck justice and figure out, get to the bottom of all who was involved. So Monty Shangle here coming into the carnage. Gets collected when Kellen Relic wasn't able to miss the wreck. Going slow-mo. Yeah, Kellen Relic just clips right into the back end of that 89. Monty Shangle comes in, nowhere to go. Kara Shangle, Dalton Scott, Atlee Weiss bumps into the back of the slower 50. 50 slides into his teammate in the 90. The 56, oh, that is a case of ARCA brakes there if I've ever seen it. 56, relatively new to the series. I don't think he anticipated to have a car right in the middle of the raceway there. He went full speed ahead, clipping, ooh, damn, flipping the 50 over. Now, very, very smart move here from Ewan What Army to simply just let off the throttle. Running in 5th. Seems like he gets a good shot of all the action as it's happening right there in front of him. Kellen Relic from about second place out of the race now. Jordan Walker sustained some damage. Let's see exactly what happened to Jordan Walker. Oh man, it must have just barely clipped the 21. Oh, that was pretty hard side hit there for the 50. As he locks up the brakes, there's not much else he could do at that point. The 31 as well. It's a parking lot in the middle of turn 2. Fortunately, a lot of drivers involved in this one. Very strong contender, and Kellen Relic out of the race. Pair of Shangles out. And here comes the 31 with nowhere, clobbering the 21 of Kara Shangle. So now Jacob Shangle's still alive here in 7th. Everyone has now, we've got back to live. We'll go ahead and resume reality. Pretty neat that we can just pause it and do the analysis there. So I'm going to try to give wave arounds to as many lap down cars as possible, as they're only crediting 3 people on the lead lap, which I don't know if that's accurate by any means. We know Atlee Weiss has some damage, so even though he's in 2nd, don't know if that's going to be accurate. Wow, maybe it is accurate. So basically, he's on a lap of his own right now. 12, wave number 1. Okay, now we will go and wave the lap down cars. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have 16 cars on the lead lap. Everyone from 17th on back 2 laps down. Retirements from the race have grown exponentially right after that wreck. 18 of Chaz Chadwick out of the race as well, it seems. Not sure where he... we must have missed exactly how he got involved. Okay, so he did clip the 89 as well as many of the other drivers did. 18, 87, 2 very strong cars out of the race. What a bummer. Seems to be very much the case when you get into the Sylvania Cup Series. A lot of the the drama comes from these cautions that take out half the field. Dover last week, and what seemed crazy is we were on pace to have one of the quickest races here at Texas tonight. No cautions, no nothing, but all that lap traffic there finally had to give. There had to be a budge. And finally they found that needle in the haystack to make all the chaos unfold. So Atlee, even with some damage on his car, if you've been following along this season, that's usually a good sign for Atlee if he has a little bit of damage on the car, because he'll usually go on to win the damn race. So Al Bunch better look out, because Atlee's got his nose crumpled up and is looking for a fight. The only difference, though, for Al Bunch not to be involved in a wreck here, Atlee didn't have that advantage in his favor, whereas other two wins were brought upon by Al Bunch getting involved in one of those wrecks. So we should only have about one more lap here under caution before we get back to racing. But we did see the big one here at Texas tonight. Unfortunately for Atlee, I don't think he's going to have enough pace with that damaged car. Everyone else is having a hard time getting around all the lap traffic, as you see. They didn't get the wave around or drop to the back quick enough. Ah, dang it. Okay, at least they're going to get caught back up. The lap traffic's just going to be slightly at fault to keeping third on back a little bit further back. Ooh, Atlee not looking good. That 19 is going to have hard time without the aerodynamics. Oofty, that outside line unfortunately got the worst end of it, as they are bunched up at the very back. Atlee Weiss restarted in second, but that's about all he's going to have, as they are 4 wide. This is a mess waiting to happen. Everyone gets sorted there. Atlee might need to call it for today. Wow, Ewan What Army up to second. Now sorting out potential battle with the leader. such a bummer for Atlee though, man. I mean, had a car that was looking like top 5 run today, but gets tangled up in a mess not of his doing, of course. Everyone else continuing onward. Wow, 64 falls back to 15th there. We'll have to see if Atlee's even going to be up to speed. I doubt he's going to have any pace. And we'll likely see him get gobbled up by Al Bunch in a matter of laps. Slowed the pace of the race up a little bit. Average race pace now at a 174.4. Al Bunch still leading, but could get interesting here as Ewan What Army could potentially keep it interesting. Out of the race after that first wreck that we saw tonight that brought out the first caution. 89 of Gavin Legend, 31 of Justin Daytu, the 5 of Jordan Walker, the 90 of Gavin Gray, the 00 of Jack Ross, the 50 of Dalton Scott, the 21 of Kara Shangle, the 38 of Monty Shangle, and the 56 of Andre Stefan. 18 of Chaz Chadwick, and the 87 of Kellen Relic. Those two sting the worst, as they both had a top 5 car running for a potential win tonight. They're going to be finishing 32nd and 33rd. Still 31 cars out there on track, 15 of which are on the lead lap. Ewan What Army sits in second right now. He has the best shot at fighting with Al Bunch for the win here tonight. Atlee Weiss starting to lose ground here again. He's got a full second off the pace with that 19 car. Still running at least clean laps here. We won't DQ him as long as he doesn't hold up traffic or cause a wreck. If he ends up causing another wreck, then unfortunately we would have to DQ him. This could make it interesting for Ewan What Army though. Look at Al Bunch getting held up here, 19. Going to be able to make the move there, but What Army could prevail, gaining a little bit of ground here. Well, Atlee's going to chop down low and take some of the speed away from the 1 as well. So equal opportunity offender there on slowing up the lead traffic. One thing this does is puts our fuel strategy a little bit out of sorts. With Al Bunch, let's see when his last pit stop was. We know they can go 70 laps. Came down on lap 167. So he should be good to go all the way to lap 237 or 236 Not much wiggle room if we have green-white checkers, but even if we have green-white checkers, you've kind of made your bet at this point, and we would have to see just where it goes. Which I'll go ahead and authorize green-white checkers just in case. Never know if it actually might become a factor. You have to make sure it's turned on at least after lap 2 of the race. We're far past lap 2, so enabling it now gives us a chance for potential green-white checkers. That's definitely not what Al Bunch wants to hear. He hopes that this race goes green all the way to the finish, as he'll have just enough fuel in the tank to carry it home. Ultimately, everyone else that's still out there on track knows that's the case, that they should be good to go to the finish. John Roman in third. It doesn't look like he's got quite the pace to stay pace with Al Bunch. Wow. Since the restart, John Roman actually has credited the fastest lap. A 27.331. Compare that up to Al Bunch and his 27.343. Man, even Monty Shangle had a 27.409. He was third fastest. Actually, look at that whole lineup there. Monty Shangle Motorsports, first fastest, third fastest, and fourth fastest. 3 of their 4 in the top 5 fastest laps here today. A couple of which out of the race, but John Roman's still very much alive and in the fight. Gonna need a little bit of luck to go his way to get any further. Don't know what that ding was about. It was kind of like, well, what's the warning? But I was afraid that my computer's running out of space or something. Doesn't look like that's the case. Apologies that I pulled from the stream there. But yeah, ultimately what's going to be interesting here is this last stretch where we won't have to have low disk space. That's what I was afraid of. I was like, oh, that didn't sound pleasant. Running low on C storage, I'm assuming. Or maybe my D drive. 36 laps remaining here, and you can see that lead's starting to stretch out again for Al Bunch. He has just been on a whole nother level tonight. Looks like Atlee, even with the damage, still maintaining a top 20 at the moment, sitting in 17th, 2 laps down. He could fall back as far as 26th, but looks to be pretty well settled into 17th at the moment. Got Monty Shangle Motorsports running 3rd and 4th with John Roman and Liz Shangle. Alan Taylor even in 6th, so 3 of the 4 in the top 6. "34 laps now. It's getting down to crunch time here. And you know for a fact that Al Bunch does not want to see any more cautions. That first caution of the race might very well be the only one, as we don't have very many cars left to wreck after that first caution. I did say the race was probably going to get done at about 10 o'clock. Still looking like we're on pace to finish roughly at about 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Even after that one caution, Al Bunch still flying around this track, putting down quick laps, average race pace at 176 miles an hour. Just at about 351 miles in 2 hours. "29 laps remaining now. Al Bunch has been the cream of the crop here in Sylvania Cup action this season. Hoping to get his potentially 3rd win here tonight at Texas. That Jaguar number 81 has not put a wheel in the wrong direction. Things could have went wrong had he been any further backwards with his teammate, his team owner, Kellen Relic, who got tangled up in that one wreck this evening, which Al Bunch knows all too well, getting tangled up in a wreck while running up front in the field. It's not a pleasant feeling. So Kellen Relic on the sidelines here now, watching as his guy keeps on leading here at Texas. Not very often that you get an alternate scheme and give them this kind of publicity running at the front of the field. A lot of times when you get an alternate scheme, it takes a while for it to catch on and get some good runs going. Al Bunch wanted to rewrite the script here and said, "Hey, I've got a new paint scheme. I want to run up front with it." And running up front with it, he has. He's been running away with it. Lead is now grown to a 3.6 second gap. Ewan What Army just doesn't have any pace to keep up with the 81. Not any lap traffic or anything to hold him up. It's just running about 4/10 slower than the lead. Yeah, 28.5 to a 28.2. What could become a factor here, though, is John Roman could start to catch up to that one and potentially fight for a second place here tonight. Chris Harvey running some fast laps here. I wonder if he made a pit stop. Yes, he did. So from 14th, he made a pit stop and then rejoins the track in 15th. Currently 2 laps down. But that pit stop coming at the time it did, he's blowing through the field. He could get one of his laps back. I don't think the tread's going to last long enough for him to get 2 of those laps back. But this could be an interesting strategy. I mean, why not? If you're already behind the 8 ball, why not swing for the fences at least once here? Kind of a interesting strategy. Try to fight back from 2 laps down with fresher tires. Obviously, the number 81 has about 40 laps old tires right now, so that 40 laps will consistently, it'll be 40 lap difference. This 12 car has fresher tires by 40 laps, so right there is teammate the number 1 of Ewan What Army, LFG Motorsports, trying to get more cars up towards the front here after the 18 got knocked out. Harvey ran a 27.950. Compare that up to about a full second faster than our leader, Al Bunch. Yeah, for sure. He's going to get 1 lap back, most definitely. Think he's going to run out of laps, though, to get anything else done. But even getting 1 lap back, and you still get a caution or something, he gets the wave around from 1 lap down to back on the lead lap. Things could get interesting for a final restart, potentially. We are down to 18 laps to go here now. So Al Bunch of Othello, Washington has worked his way up the ladder, he had been a truck contender since 2022, worked his way into the Bridge to Cup system after a stellar finish of the 2022 season that saw him win 4 races straight to close out the season. Sylvania Busch Light 2022 campaign. And that rolled into the best of his seasons yet, where he had a 2023 campaign winning 5 races and the Sylvania Busch Light Championship. Of course, the Busch Light now Bridge to Cup. Winning it is an instant graduation up to the Cup Series. And Al Bunch, even though the way it worked out, he won halfway through the year and was graduated up into Cup on a part-time basis as he missed the first few races of the season. And we saw his 2023 season nothing like what it is in 2024. No wins, many DNFs, 14 to be exact. Well, it looks like he's trying to flip the DNF category into a potential win category this year, as only 8 races in, 2 wins to the date, looking for win number 3 here at Texas, as we're down to the final 13 laps. Not much drama, unless we get a caution, of course. He has a demanding lead over you and What Army, 5.8 seconds. Bella Fawn surprisingly bumps her way up to 3rd, getting by John Roman. That puts Liz Shangle at 4th, John Roman at 5th, and Alan Taylor at 6th. Nate Newman looking to have another stellar finish in the top 10. Atlee Wee still mostly just trying to hold on for all he can get here in the closing laps, sitting in 19th. And here comes Chris Harvey to get one of his laps back. Made a pit stop so that he could have fresher tires for the final laps of this one, and making the most of those fresh Hoosiers. Currently sitting in 14th, 2 laps down. Only 13 cars on the lead lap. Now he's got one of those laps back, only 1 lap down, still in 14th. It's been a very peculiar Texas race, I must say. We've never seen a dominant performance like this in recent years. Last year's Texas race was kind of a wreck fest of sorts. Tonight, went caution-free for the first half and looked like we were just going to have kind of a ho-hum, follow-the-leader finish of sorts. And then we had that one caution after halfway, taking out a lot of heavy hitters. I think it's safe to say that Kellen Relic could have been scary on a restart after the second half there. It could have got interesting. It could have been a battle between teammate and team owner for the win. But we were robbed of that with the wreck that came out. It has been the Al Bunch story, as there's now just 7 laps to go. Can't quite take a breath of relief yet, knowing that could be a caution that comes out. He could get tangled up with lap traffic here too, so there's never a true moment of rest, as he's got to keep on the go pedal here and just count those laps down. Liz Shangle gets back up to 3rd, Bella Fawn back to 4th. John Roman must have used up his tires. He's fallen to 7th. Wow, Nate Newman making a charge here at the end. Impressive run there from the 20 as he gets up into the top 5 here. The Australian putting together a great run in the closing laps, fighting with the 28 of Alan Taylor. It's actually the most exciting we've had of racing here tonight. Some battles brewing in the top 5. Bella Fawn sits 4th right now. Liz Shangle in 3rd. Ewan Wood Army still pretty far out in front of those guys. But Nate Newman could potentially get a top 5 finish here tonight. Tyler Shangle in the top 10. His teammate Lynn Farrell right there in 10th. Jacob Shangle would love to get back up to the top 10 at least here to close out the night. Down to 4 laps now, and we're going to have to see just how Al Bunch is faring with lap traffic here. Now, it didn't pan out for Atlee Weiss to continue his streak of damaged car wins, as he's been 2 for 2 with damaged cars to make it to victory lane. I guess tonight that's going to be a tally against that, so he'll only be 2 for 3. What a weird stat. Two laps remaining now. Not much more for drama at the backfield as things have kind of settled down. 64 could potentially fight with the 63 here. This is all that he needs to see is the white flag waving in the air. Al Bunch fighting his way through lap traffic, doing all that he can to hold that lead. Closing laps here. Not much drama. Al Bunch could pretty much just lay off throttle now and cruise around without pushing the envelope here. Comes around turn 4, checkered flag waving in the air. He's going to collect yet another win here in the Sylvania Cup Series for 2024. 3 wins on the season in only 8 races time. Al Bunch is going to be a very, very tough threat this season. Championship runner-up from 2023, Ewan Wood Army comes home with a 2nd tonight. That's a solid finish for the 1 car. Liz Shangle 3rd, Bella Fawn 4th, and Nate Newman 5th. Tyler Aspinall, Alan Taylor, John Roman, Tyler Shangle, and Lynn Farrell gets top 10 finish tonight with 64 just outside in 11th. Tristan Reams and Chris Harvey with the top 15 finish as well was able to gain some more tracks, at least get a little bit further up the field with a late pit stop there. Race time 2 hours and 1 minute, so we did really keep it at about 2 hours here for tonight's race at Texas. And I'll figure out just why I'm running out of space. That was kind of weird, but Should be safe to save the replay. Yep. Okay. So Jaguar continues its dominance in Sylvania Cup action here. It's been kind of brutal for those that have been fighting against the Jaguars, but eventually their day will come and they'll find where they could potentially run out of all the golden horseshoes and whatnot. So, and yeah, nope. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Congratulations yet again to Al Bunch on getting another tremendous win here in Sylvania Cup action. We'll be looking towards next week's race and maybe seeing if anyone's got anything for this Jaguar powerhouse. So have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe out there.